pair of tigers has an economic value of 520 crores. That's say 1 hectare of forest, the amount of benefit it gives you, 1 hectare of plantation can never give. Some of this is the impact of global climate change or whatever, but I think that a lot of it is very local.
Today we talk about climate change, and I think it is very important that we talk about it because we know the importance of water and air. But there is another biodiversity, that is of animals. Have you imagined any time if there was no ecosystem of animals around us, what would happen to us? Keeping this as a point of view, today I will be talking to Dr. Ramakrishnan, who is an associate professor at National Center for Biological Sciences, Bangalore. Uma, could you tell us why is it important to put a cost per animal, especially the wild animals?
So wild animals are really beautiful, and we are lucky in India to have really beautiful species like tigers and elephants and rhinos. And I think the most basic thing that we all care about as human beings is just the fact that they are so majestic and so beautiful. And that itself is a reason to want to save them and want to conserve them. But wild animals also represent intact and functioning ecosystems. So what do I mean by this? So if you think about, where does an elephant live or where does a tiger live? They tend to live either in forests or in grasslands, in areas where there are trees, there are plants, there's water sources, rivers, there's deer and other things for them to eat. And because of this entire system also has insects and so on and so forth. And such intact ecosystems also provide us benefits. So for example, all the fruit we eat is pollinated by insects, wild insects. All the water we drink comes from wild areas, whether it's mountains. And so we are very dependent on these wild areas. We forget about them because the water comes out of the tap. So we forget that this water is coming from the Kaveri is coming from the Western Ghats. We forget these things. But they provide us huge services which we don't pay for. We're getting it free now. But if they disappear, if they are lost, we will have to pay a huge cost. So for example, a study recently suggested that a pair of tigers has an economic value of 520 crores. Wow. That's a huge amount of money, right? And given that India in the world has the highest number of tigers, almost 2,500 to 3,000 tigers, every citizen of India should be really proud that we have this vault of money, this really big bank of money with each and every tiger that we have here. And finally, I talked about losing these intact ecosystems. So basically, for example, when we cut forests and we make plantations, what happens is sometimes when humans interact or we interact with these wild species, there can be some diseases which we get from wild animals, right? And there's an interesting case recently of Nipah virus in Kerala. And so it's possible that destruction of forests, destruction of these habitats can also lead to detrimental effects with us, say, getting diseases as well.
Okay. So can you tell us about the green belt? Is there anything about a green belt versus non-habitat? No.
Yeah, so basically these intact ecosystems are really old. It's taken millions of years of evolution of plants and insects and mammals and birds and reptiles to kind of come to some equilibrium with each other. They're all living together. Some are competing, some are killing others. It's like a lot of interaction, just like we have in our cities. We're fighting for traffic, we're fighting to get ahead, this is happening, that is happening. A lot of interactions are there, and because of all of these interactions, these species are all together. Now imagine an intact ecosystem. There are many species, right? So how is it that so many different species are subsisting together? It's taken millions of years of fighting, not fighting, getting along and all that. So when we lose these intact ecosystems, we can't recreate them. We don't know how to do it. It will take too long. So just putting aside some land after you've cut it, after you've lost the forest, to say, oh, this is green belt, it doesn't work. It doesn't function. It doesn't give us the benefits that an intact forest or an intact grassland would give us. So we have to be careful about this.
Okay, I have then two questions on the similar point. One, we see a lot of plantations keep happening by the policymakers,
Yeah,
saying that we're going to plant so many trees across this.
yeah.
Will that be a substitute to a forest in case?
No.
No.
So in some sense, just having trees would create oxygen. So in that sense, it's potentially can decrease global warming. But the many other benefits of biodiversity like water, all our rivers, or insects and all that, it's very difficult to get the net benefits, all of them together. You might get one benefit or another benefit, right?
Okay.
But to get everything together, that say 1 hectare of forest, the amount of benefit it gives you, 1 hectare of plantation can never give.
Yeah.
It's very unlikely.
There are also natural disasters which takes place, and a part of forest that does get cut out as the habitat gets cut out. So what do you think about those challenges that particular place will face?
Yeah, so for example, this is really evident in all the floods that we've been seeing, right? Because of deforestation, there's a lot of water runoff and this results in lots of floods. And recently there was a huge debate about in the Western Ghats itself, there were two different kinds of reports, the Gadgil report and the Kasturi Rangan report. And there was a very big discussion, and finally we went with one version which ended up us losing or allowing for loss of more habitat. No? And we can't say for sure it's because of that, but we are seeing repeated floods all over, right? So some of this is the impact of global climate change or whatever, but I think that a lot of it is very local. The cutting of forests, the loss of natural habitat. So once we've lost that habitat, it's very difficult to get it again. And I think we all feel that this is against development. Like we feel that, okay, no, everyone should have roads, everyone should have access to medication. So we think it's okay to lose the forest. But there have to be some ways where we can keep the forest as well. There has to be some compensation.
So how scary is it at the moment, the way things are changing in the name of development?
I probably am the wrong person to talk about, because for me, I feel like things have changed a lot, and I feel like we are at a turning point though. I mean, there's some very inspiring young people like Greta Thunberg, there are protests happening all over the world to think about the biodiversity crisis, how species are going extinct, and it's not just about global climate change, right? And really in India, the challenges we face are very environmental. It's about pollution, it's about water, it's about air quality, so many things which are all benefits. There's less pollution when there are trees. So these are all benefits, or there are solutions, sustainable solutions which we need to look for. And no one's going to come up with these solutions for us. The solutions for US are different from the solutions for India, right? So we have to also take charge, and especially all these young people. It's like your challenge to take this up and really find those solutions.
Okay, I think you give a very balanced view about the challenges we have it.